Cameo characters are the bread and butter of Mortal Kombat 1. Picking the wrong one could severely hinder your chances of winning. So today, let's decide once and for all which cameos are the best and worst in Mortal Kombat 1 with the definitive tier list. In case you're new to my channel, this tier list is more than just my opinion. I also research other tier lists from top players both professional and online. And then, to be that much more certain, I watch tournaments because if the characters aren't being used at tournaments, they're probably not that capable. So with all that out of the way, please let me know in the comments what your tier list looks like, and if you enjoyed the video after watching, make sure to leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And hey, while you're down there, also consider subscribing and ringing that bell, because on this channel we have guides, character reviews, and Mortal Kombat 1 news. Now without any further ado, let's begin. Alright, so the first choice is easy. That's typically how tier lists go, you know? The top 5, the bottom 5, you're always pretty sure about. It's the middle that gets tricky, but in this case, the best cameo character right now is Cyrax. And the main reason why is this guy makes everything safe on block, and for the cherry on top, he also does a bunch of chip damage, and then crazy enough, he also gives you the best combo damage in certain situations because his straight up helicopter move does so much damage and it juggles the opponent. Or in other words, Cyrax is the perfect mix of offense and defense. He makes everything safe, he makes combo damage that much better, and he lets you convert off pretty much anything. So Cyrax is the best of everything right now. However, that being said, he's not the best pairing for every character. For example, I don't think Li Mei gets very much from Cyrax. But now it's time for number 2, and guess what? It's Jax. This character is a bit tricky to understand, but once you master his setups, that unblockable is one of the cheapest things in the entire game. In fact, this character right here, okay, Jax is the one reason I think Combo Breaker is necessary in Mortal Kombat 1, because there are ways to guarantee his unblockable lands on the opponent, or at the very least, you can force the opponent to jump and they can't block in the air, which means you get a guaranteed air conversion. Jax can be that good. And if all that wasn't already crazy enough, he also gives you really good damage as long as you launch the opponent first. The combos can get a bit situational, but trust me, once you learn them, the damage is really good. Next up at number 3, we have Goro, and it's not because of the stomp. Believe it or not, if you watch tournament play, the stomp almost never gets used. Instead, it's his raise the roof attack because it's an ambush attack, which means you can use it whenever you want to, so it can keep you safe on block or it can extend combos on hit. It's a very versatile move. It's just so useful in every situation. And as a result, Goro pairs well with pretty much anybody. His only sin is not being completely busted like Jax and Cyrax. I think Goro is really good, but he's not unfair. Then right behind him, we have Kung Lao. A lot of people are sleeping on this character. His hat gives you a guaranteed 50-50 after a knockdown. Into your combo, summon the hat, hold it, and then go for a jump in. That is an almost impossible to block overhead low mix, and no matter what, you get a full combo because the hat does not knock down. So yeah, it's a really good 50-50 machine at the end of most combos. It's just a crazy setup. In fact, even from far away, the hat toss is still super useful because it's just one more projectile on screen, and finally, he can teleport you, and it's like Motaro's teleport. He can take you no matter what you're doing. And for certain characters like Johnny Cage or even General Shao, that can be extremely useful. He gives you combo routes that you normally would not have. Trust me, if you can master the setups and combo routes with Kung Lao, he's one of the best cameos in the entire game. But now finally, to close off this top row, we have Sub-Zero, and that's because he just turns off keep away and zoning in this game. You become immune to anything unless you get close to the opponent. And this works for keep away characters and rush down characters alike because you can just avoid projectiles and take them off the table for the most part. There are some exceptions. Certain ranged attacks don't qualify as projectiles for some reason according to the game, but in most regards, Sub-Zero just takes zoning off the table and it's an ambush attack, which means at any point in time, you just become immune to projectiles, which is extremely strong. On top of that, he can also freeze the opponent to extend combos and guarantee certain setups, which of course is extremely strong in this game. And finally, for icing on the cake, he can also keep you safe on block in some situations too, and that's always fantastic to have. It's not an ambush like Goro, so it's not 100% successful, but it works in a lot of situations. Now finally, it's time for row number 2. First off, I'm going to say Sector. That projectile is insane. The fact that his missile is an ambush and you can summon it at the end of any combo to just guarantee pressure is fantastic, especially for characters that don't guarantee break armor. Yeah, in case you didn't know that, some characters like Melina, Tanya, and Baraka can just break armor every single time guaranteed because they have double hitting attacks that are super fast. But if your character does not have that, then Sector is the answer because he guarantees ease the lockdown. And if that wasn't crazy enough, he can also extend combos with that missile too, and give you combo routes that you've never had before. This is great for certain characters like General Shao. But next up, let's talk versatility, because I think Kano is one of the most versatile cameos in the entire game. His knife projectile is an ambush, and it hits twice, so it can break armor against certain characters and just guarantee more pressure, and it can also keep you safe or juggle the opponent. It's great for combo routes especially. And then we have the Kano Ball, which everyone seems to ignore. The Kano Ball can be held down and delayed, which means it can guarantee damage in many situations, like a throw for example. Even if the opponent breaks your throw, the Kano Ball will still hit them, so it's just guaranteed damage. Like Jax, he can be really cheap, just not to such a massive scale, but yeah, Kano can be really cheap, and he's just good and solid. Next up, we must talk about Striker. This guy is being slept on by so many players. He's way more versatile than you think, because his grenades not only keep you safe, but can also zone and counter zone, which is already crazy, but then on top of that, he has a low overhead mix-up. It doesn't combo, but still, he has a 50-50 all by himself, which is kind of crazy just to think about. Once you have the opponent really low on life, you can call out Striker and they have to guess, because the overhead and low look very similar. It's almost impossible to react to unless they study Striker a lot. And believe it or not, there's one more thing Striker can do, and that's handcuff the opponent to guarantee more pressure and a reset, which is really, really good. In fact, if I'm being honest, I almost want to put Striker in front of Kano. I know some people think Kano's better, but the tournaments speak for themselves, and I see Striker way more often. And next up, let's talk about Scorpion. This character is interesting because he's the perfect blend of mix-ups and just air combo extension. If your character juggles the opponent in the air often, then Scorpion's a great addition to your team, because not only does he extend the combo, but he fires 2 projectiles, which means they're juggled for a bit longer, and it just makes every air conversion that much easier. There's not much skill required in the timing. But then on top of that, Scorpion brings the mix-ups, and that overhead can be tough to react to online, especially if you rarely use it. The opponent forgets that it's even an option, and they get caught by it, baby. It's so good. And then finally, for some reason, Scorpion can also pull you away from the opponent, and you're armored on the retreat, so that's also a fantastic option. It's not used all the time, but trust me, it's going to be great to have when you need it. So yeah, I think Scorpion is really, really good. The problem is most players are only using him for the overhead mix-up instead of everything else he can do. He's so useful. But now it's time for a hot take, alright? Every tier list has its hot take. Here's mine. For the online warriors out there, I'm not going to downplay Serena. Yes, you can duck under her projectiles and get a down 4 or a down 1, and if you're really skilled, you can fully punish that stuff on block. But guess what? I have yet to see that ever happen during online matches. I see everyone talk about it on paper, but I've yet to see anybody full combo punish Serena's projectile, because it hits twice on the way out and twice on the way back. Yes, you can duck under it, but you usually don't get a full combo. It's possible in theory, but I haven't seen anybody do it yet, and if they do it, it's going to be super rare. And that's just on block. On hit is where Serena shines. She turns every character into a damage monster. Even Sub-Zero gets 40% for no meter with Serena, which lore-wise makes sense if you played Mythologies, but no matter what, Serena is the damage dealer for every character in the game, and she's super easy to use, and that's why pretty much everybody picks Serena when they're first learning a new character. She pairs up that well. Next up, it's time for the third row. These characters are very good, alright? No cameo character in this game is bad, believe it or not. They're all actually quite good, just some are really good and some are less good. But first up, we have Frost, because you must factor in the online, right? Most of you are playing online, and that low catches people all the time, and that mix-up can be really good. But on top of that, Frost has so many other things that make her really good, like the slow traveling projectile that locks the opponent down, especially in the corner. That's a super useful move for certain characters. If you're playing any kind of zoner, or even a character that has to buff their damage or something, Frost buys you that time with the projectile, or even the low freeze attack buys you time for that kind of stuff. Being able to freeze the opponent mid-combo is super effective for any character that needs to buy just a bit of extra time to set something up. So yeah, Frost is really, really good for a majority of the cast, even if you don't want the mix-up. Her freeze attack is still perfect after a hit confirm, and her slow traveling ice ball is great for locking down the opponent and just guaranteeing more pressure. But now it's time to talk about Darius. I have him much lower than a lot of people on my tier list, but that's because I feel like he's very situational. Pretty much everyone is using him for his full circle attack. Just in case you don't play Darius, he has an ambush attack that holds the opponent in place, and then if you want to, you can extend it with him for a ton of damage at the end of any combo, which is already really strong, but most players don't even finish it. Instead, they just use him to get a guaranteed combo extender in pretty much every situation, which makes him really good for certain characters like Reiko, or basically any character that does not get a combo after one of their deadliest mix mix-up attacks, right? Darius makes it possible to combo after literally anything, which I do admit is really strong, but once again, I researched the tournaments, and the reason why at high level and even online you don't see very many Darius players is because it takes a full circle and then he's gone for like the entire round. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that one summon is all you need to win the round, but I'm just saying so many characters can also do what I'm describing without being gone for the entire round. And that's why I personally have Darius a little lower. Yes, on paper he might be really good, but in reality most people don't pick him, so I think that speaks for itself. Now it's time to talk about Sonya. I feel like everybody's sleeping on this character, which is funny because during the stress test and the beta, everybody was using her. However, once the full cameo list became available, she's been on the back burner a bit, which I think is a shame. She's actually a very underrated cameo, because most people only see her as damage, right? Her flying air attack combos in a lot of situations and gives you a bit extra damage. Her leg grab is also good for combo extension, and it's okay to play her that way, but you're missing out. Sonya's air flying attack actually allows you to buff your character mid-combo. So for example, General Shao can launch the opponent, call Sonya, and then buff his damage and keep the combo going. And this can also work for setups too. You do a combo, call in Sonya, and then do a setup that guarantees pressure when the opponent gets up. She's good for that too. And then finally, she has a plus on block attack too. It's a short projectile that gives you frame advantage, which can also be really good. I think people are sleeping on Sonya. But now finally, second to last, we have Motaro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Motaro was made for General Shao because they go together like peanut butter and jelly. You can do other people with General Shao and he still works really well, but at the same time, that teleport seems like it was made for General Shao. I haven't found any other characters that get crazy new combo routes with that teleport, but General Shao definitely does. However, that being said, even if you don't play General Shao, Motaro still can reflect any projectile, he can teleport you as well, and he can also fire 3 projectiles that keep the opponent locked down surprisingly well and can even extend combos. Or in other words, Motaro is pretty solid. I almost want to put him in front of Sonya, but I feel like he's so character specific and also a bit technical with the timing, so he's not that easy to use, whereas Sonya is like brain dead easy to understand. But sadly, the same can't be said for the final character on this list, Shu Jinko. I love this character, his concept is so cool. For anyone not aware, maybe you don't play Mortal Kombat 1 at all, okay? This guy can copy the opponent's moves. For every opponent, he gets 2, and usually both these moves are very useful. He gets a combo extender move, and he gets a safe on block special move as well, which is awesome. And on top of that, you don't have to wait for his circle to refill. Instead, you summon him, he meditates, and he's ready to go faster than any other cameo in the game, which seems super good. Here's the issue. Nobody likes having that extra step. In fact, most players don't want to memorize the different abilities he steals for every single character either. That's Shu Jinko's biggest sin, being complicated. He's still super useful, and I think on paper he could be a top 5 cameo. The problem is nobody wants to juggle all that nonsense. And then to make matters worse, there's certain characters that he sucks against. Smoke and Reiko don't give him a combo extender, and that just really sucks. Now all that being said, I still hope everyone watching gives Shu Jinko a chance. Even if not in Combat League, play your buddies and just try Shu Jinko. He's a lot of fun. Also watch Ketchup and Mustard's video to learn all the stuff he can do. Because once again, this cameo character is not bad. He just has a bit more homework to do, and he's a bit more effort to summon and make meditate, but you get to use him way more often. But there you have it everyone, the definitive tier list for cameo fighters in Mortal Kombat 1. This was by far my toughest tier list. It took me over 30 minutes of just sitting here and recording because I wasn't quite sure, but now finally as I stare at it, I can say for a fact I'm very happy with how this tier list turns out. But once again, post your tier list in the comments down below. And then while you're down there, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really does support my channel a ton. And finally, finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.